Satnam. I'm Lillian Savoy with Awaken Change podcast today, and I'm so excited to be here with you, as I always am. And today we are talking about the mother wound and how we can heal from that. And I have a little story. So we're going to go deep into the womb of ourselves if you're a mother, or witnessing the fact of your mother's story and how you brought that on and into your life, and how I'm always looking for ways to better myself as a mother, but I'm also looking for ways to better my relationship with my own mother, and that relationship is very tricky. So if you have children, especially daughters, and you're close to your mother or grandmother or great-grandmother, then this episode is for you. So Saturday night, we went on a onesie ride. So our friend Justin puts together a onesie ride. And so you wear your Christmas onesie and you put lights around your bikes. And then we met at his house and had food and socialized, and it's dark. So we restart from my house and we ride the trace, and it's pitch black dark. It's so fun. And we're in our outfits. Okay. And so my outfit, hopefully I can include a picture while you're watching this. So I decided that I'd dig in my closet, which I love to do, and dig out a costume that I haven't worn, which is this hot pink onesie. And it kind of looked very jazzercise because I tried to get it and wear it a couple years ago. I think when I was maybe jazzercise Barbie, but I don't know. It felt tight around my neck, and it felt choking. And you have to go with the moment of how you're feeling, and that way your costume really comes alive. Because if you plan it too far in advance and you're not feeling it, then it doesn't really come alive. But I got this message from my guides, and they were like, "Oh, try the pink onesie," because I have an owl fuzzy onesie that I've worn a couple years in a row. So I put on the pink, and I'm like, "Ooh, need some shapewear." So put on some shapewear, get in my pink onesie, zip it up. It feels amazing. Okay, I've been working my butt off and doing Pilates every day again, and trying to do something with my body again after having my shoulder injury and so many injuries for so long. I have finally gotten into a groove where I'm feeling good, right? I've been working out, taking care of my lymphatic system, drinking lots of tea, drinking lots of bone broth, really building in the protein, but also bringing in lots of mindfulness. Like, what does my body need today? Instead of like, what should I be doing or what shouldn't I be doing? Or what is this, maybe I do 20 reps, but maybe my body's feeling like 10 reps for the day. And she's using 10 pounds. Maybe I need 5 pounds. So really being more mindful in my workouts. And that allowed me, I think, to zip up the onesie. All right. So I'm like, all right, I can be a hot pink onesie. I have this cute, like, elastic red belt, and that's vintage, that has been in my closet forever. And then I have this bright pink wig that matches my onesie. And then I have a Santa hat. So I put my Santa hat on, and then I put all my makeup on. I've got like my eyeliner that's green, and I've got bright red lips to match all my red. And then I've got these big wing earrings that I've never worn with hot pink and white. And then I got my white boots. All right, so I'm looking like if you can picture this, like kind of a jazzercise Barbie, Christmas Barbie onesie, bike riding in my cowboy boots. So we go to Justin's, we mingle, meet some new Mandeville people, and I'm from here, okay? So I feel like I know everybody, but I didn't know hardly anyone there. I knew maybe 4 people. So it was kind of fun. And then we bar hopped. So we went to one bar, and that one smelled like throw up. So then we went and had appetizers at Aperitif next door. So that one was amazing. And then we rode to the second bar, Ruby's, which we've been going to since we were kids, and took pictures and played darts and met Santa. And then, okay, well, bing, 9 o'clock rolls around. I'm an old lady now. So go into my get back on our bikes and we ride home. So we got to go pick up the kid. So I go in, we drop the bikes off, get in the car, go down the street to my mom's. And I'm like, I'm going in my costume. I'm not going to undress. I'm going to show my mom my costume. And Andre's like, can't wait to see what your mom has to say. I'm like, I know, but I'm feeling good. Like, maybe she won't say anything. So go in, and we're all talking. I'm telling her about the night. And then she's like, okay, well, you got to go. I can't look at you like this anymore. And I was like, well, okay, because I still have on my outfit. And I was like, all right. So I'm like, okay, well, we got to go. Let me give you a hug. So I hug her. And as we're hugging, it's like this total embrace. And she goes, you look like a whore. And I was like, what? And I go, okay. And I can't even remember what I said. I just said, okay. And, see you later. Have a good night. Love you, and I'm leaving. And I walk to the car. We go back home, and then I proceed to have a dance party by myself in the kitchen, which was fun. It took me like 20 minutes to get off, my 20 layers, it felt like, of makeup and hair and bobby pins and onesies and boots. And meanwhile, I'm dancing in the kitchen, calling my daughter. And I was like, you won't believe what Mimi just called me. She called me a whore. And she's like, why would she do that? I'm like, I have no idea. Because you couldn't see any tits, you couldn't see any ass, you couldn't see anything, right? I'm bundled up. I got my shapewear on, I got my onesie on, I got my wig on. You can't even tell it's me, much less see any skin that's poking out. Now you can see my shape. That was pretty nice. But you can't see anything, okay? So I then proceed to tell Andre, I was like, well, almost made it without my mom telling me something, but she did call me a whore. And he's like, oh my God. So we didn't quite make it out of, a name calling. So, I've just been sitting with this, like, what does it mean to be a whore? Why did I look like a whore? What made her call me a whore? Why didn't I freak out about this? And the answers to all of that is, well, I didn't freak out because something in the back of my mind told me that she was going to say something. So I was going to be prepared, right? Which is so important, to be prepared about what you think your mother is going to tell you. I think that is almost the key to having a good relationship with your mother, is if you can be prepared. I know we're not supposed to have expectations, like I expect her to say something, so we're not supposed to do that. But if you are prepared for an insult, then it makes it a lot easier to absorb or deflect or reflect the insult, right? And then the other confusing part is like, okay, well, what is a whore? I mean, Jesus brought, Andre was just telling me this the other day, okay? So, because he doesn't understand why everybody has to dress up to go to church, because Jesus gathered up the whores and the sinners and the, all the homeless people and brought them to his table to feed them. So they weren't dressed up and they weren't showered and they didn't have, the right attire on. So kind of Andre and I were talking about why people have to dress up in collared shirts and long pants to go worship Jesus, if Jesus let all the prostitutes and the whores and the homeless people come to his table anytime, gather them off the streets. Okay, so then it goes back to, well, am I a whore? And then I have to kind of ask myself, like, am I a whore? I'm like, well, no, I'm not a whore. I have been whore-ish in some stages in my life, I should say. But even then, I didn't really feel whorish. I felt empowered when in my sexual prime, when I was like, this is what I want. This is how I want it. This is who I want it with. And I think that's a lot different than the term of where whore comes from. And then I got really irritated in high school when Sissy was in high school because they used that term loosely as a whore, right? Which they all do in high school. Like they just lose that meaning of it. So I remember looking it up in the dictionary and reading the definition to her and saying like, nobody is a whore. And it doesn't matter. Different people grow at different times and are empowered sexually and emotionally at different times in their lives. So really, no one needs the label ever. And then I had to put myself in my mom's perspective. And I was like, all right, why do you think she called me a whore? Can't see a butt cheek, can't see a tit, can't see anything. So why do you think she called me that? And I've been married for a long, long time. So don't really have multiple partners. So where did that come from? Is that something from her lineage? Is that something from the lineage above her? Was she called a whore? So then I had all these questions for all the dead people in my life, like my grandma. It's like, okay, did you call mom a whore? And that's why she's calling me a whore? Were you called a whore? Because I'm pretty sure they were married at like 18. And my mom's been married since she was like 19 too, and had maybe 2 partners. I'm not sure if anybody else snuck in there, but and then me, we don't need to discuss me, but so it's really unfortunate that came in, but I look to it like a lesson, like maybe this is something that I need to look at. So I used my favorite deck, which is by Kim Krans, and it's the Archetype deck. And the Archetype, you can do all the reading you want to on the archetypes, okay? But Google it. Look up archetypes, because we go through periods and stages of our lives where we need to evolve from the person that we are into the person that we're becoming. We need to burn off some old patterns and old resentments and old anger. We need to light the fire to find the new version of us, right? And the new us that needs to be out into the world and speaking and healing. And so I love the Archetype deck because it kind of gives you a path of not only what's to come, but what you're dealing with now. So I wanted to pull the Mother card for us today so that we can read about the Mother card. Okay, so you can go online and get this. It's called The Wild Unknown. Okay, and hopefully she'll be on my podcast one day. I'm going to just put that out there, Kim, if you want to come on my podcast. Okay, and there's beautiful diamond cards, and here's the Mother card, okay? And the funny thing is, it's the first in the deck, the Mother. So let's read about the Mother, and then we will channel a message, some more that we already have been, but then we're going to channel a few tips, and then we'll be done for the day. So the Mother is also means the Great Mother, the feminine, and the source. Okay, now this is from Kim Krans. Okay, this is what she writes. We begin our archetypal story with the Mother's love. Through her sensual, fertile, and life-giving energy, all creation takes form. Regardless of our birth story, each of our hearts beat for the first time in the warm womb of the Mother, where she offered resources from her body for the building of our own. Yet her tale is not so simple, as the Mother, especially on the earthly plane, contains both light and dark aspects of the feminine. With the best of intentions, the Mother wraps her loving arms around her creations and begins to grip what she was meant to set free. Now, can we just pause there for a minute? Because this is so important. She begins to grip what she means to set free. Now, when my mom and I embraced that night, okay, she gave me like a big hug. And this might actually make me cry. But she gave me a big hug and then called me a whore, or said I look like a whore. So in that moment, I'm feeling the beautiful mother's love. And then the dagger comes in. And it's so interesting because I do that as a mother with my own daughter. I love her so much. I brought her into this world. She grew in my womb. I brought her in, and I sting just as hard, just not in the same way that my mother does it. And I think the difference between the generation above us and my generation is that we are waking up. We are doing more work, more emotional work, more spiritual work, deeper work. And I know now when I sting, right? And I can take responsibility for that and apologize. And I can also notice now when something is about to come out of my mouth, I can feel this guttural thing come up and want to say something mean. And I can stop it. Not every time, but a lot of the times, 97% of the time, I can catch myself now. Because I was raised where there was no catch. There was no catch-all. You just got the comments. You got the insults, whether you asked for them or not. But the crazy thing is, at the same time, I would feel the love right before the sting. Because we'd be laughing or bonding or visiting, and then the comment would come. Then the insult would come. I still remember when I had to go to EMDR for, and, we're visiting, we're laughing. I'm in her closet, she's in my closet, we're just being like mom, daughter. And she holds up my shorts like this. And she's like, whoa, you're wearing this size? And it was a size 4 back then. I wish I could still fit into those. Well, she was a 00. Okay, so a size 4 was probably giant. So I remember having to go to therapy for that one. So in our mother archetype, okay, we are trying to empower our daughters and our sons, but our archetype says that we are also clenching them and gripping them and holding them back. But that is the mother archetype.